All right, welcome back to the Black and Blue podcast. It's a Jiu Jitsu podcast based on my blue belt here, Emmett, and myself, black belt. We're going over all sorts of topics, giving you two different perspectives. On today's episode, episode 4, it's how Jiu Jitsu helps to build resilience and adaptability in day-to-day life. The mental side of BJJ.
That's right. Yeah.
Sweet. So, as we've gotten accustomed to, I'm going to hand over the reins of keeping me in check to Emmett. Couple cool things happened this weekend. We're just going to touch up on a couple of
I was going to say, I was going to open the door for that.
Nice. We competed at Sub Ace as a team. We came out of it with the number 1 team trophy.
And that's Dark Horse you're talking about.
Dark Horse.
Not me. I wasn't there.
You were there in spirit.
I was there in spirit, yeah.
But yeah, we came away with the team trophy, number 1 in Sub Ace. So that was pretty badass.
Really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And your fight went really well too.
Yeah. I competed in the gi and no gi. No gi didn't go my way. I got 1 draw and 2 losses. I had to fight the same guy, and I always fight like up a division.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was fighting a 245er and a 230 pounder, I guess. I'm like 192.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I like the challenge. And at black belt level, you beggars can't be choosers. So
yeah.
Kind of had to do that. And then in the gi, I won my division with 2 straight leg locks. And again, big guys. And I don't play gi that often.
I saw the highlights from that one. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So did it make you think differently about the gi, no gi debate after that?
I was like, I should only do gi from now on forever.
Forever, yeah. I hate no gi.
But honestly, I was like, I can't believe I won this. Like
with leg locks.
Yeah, with leg locks. Well, there's points where I was like, oh, I could definitely do the heel hook here. And I was like, not allowed to. But the straight leg lock worked for me. And then went from there into the absolute against Joey, who he runs Limitless up in Edmonton.
Okay.
So he's actually going to be one of the guys that we're going to have on this podcast eventually.
Oh, amazing.
Just to shout out future episodes.
Awesome.
But he's a eco guy.
Oh,
So
okay.
We've been like sprinkling in when we want to do it and stuff.
Dancing around the topic a bit.
Yeah. But I think that we're going to wait until we can get him in.
Oh, that's perfect.
On that, because he's a really good guy to have in that. He understands what's going on. And then we can have a good old fashioned talk about it.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him in to like do a guest class or something.
Hell yeah. He's actually taught at Grappler Syndicate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was the guy that was like teaching like Kimura trap stuff.
Okay. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Was that last summer?
Yeah.
That's a good plug for Grappler Syndicate, by the way.
Yeah. If you don't know about Grappler Syndicate, get on that shit, because it's like mini camps, and he does a couple different things. It's Carter Haynes under me, brown belt, and he runs like just little mini camps that he gets instructors from all over Alberta. He's had
all over the world. He had Oliver Taza 2 years ago.
Taza, he had Fishman, Brianne St. Marie,
right?
Like Corey from 10th Planet Calgary. Like, dude, these camps are awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you don't know, go and give him a follow, because I'm bugging him to get on the next camp here for the summer, and they're always a blast. You always learn so much, and it's always so many different perspectives.
And Carter himself is an awesome guy.
No, he's a horrible guy.
Oh, he's a horrible guy, but
we don't like him. Yeah. We don't like Carter.
Gives me the willies.
The heebie-jeebies. I don't think he listens to this.
No,
I'm gonna rag on him. He'll never know.
he is a really great instructor as well, and like a really patient, wonderful guy himself. So
I wouldn't go wonderful, but patient for sure.
I think it's Tourette's. I didn't mean wonderful. I meant horrible.
But yeah, nice little plug. Also, I took home the absolute belt.
Nice.
A little plug for myself there. I was wearing that rash guard too, like the horrible one that says
nice.
Horrible. But yeah, it was my first absolute.
Way to go, man. That's I saw your post that said Like I've
Over a
been working toward this for over a decade or something. Yeah.
Insane.
Way to go, man. That's awesome.
Glad I finally got that under my belt.
And that's actually a really good segue into what we're talking about today, because we are talking again about how jiu-jitsu builds resilience and adaptability in day-to-day life. And the very first thing we have in our notes here is persistence and resilience. In jiu-jitsu, there's no shortcuts.
No.
And, you know, having these goals that are a decade in the making is part and parcel of getting involved in jiu-jitsu. And I think, like, you know from the start going in that there's no easy way out. There's no instant gratification. At least if you don't know going in, you're going to know after your first couple classes that, like, you know, you're not going to be kicking anyone's ass anytime soon. So
it's one of those things. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And that's why the attrition rate of jiu-jitsu, for the most part, it's went up, I think, in the last decade or so, but like since I started, but like it's hard, and you don't see that instant, like, I'm not shitting on karate, but karate gives, like, and taekwondo is actually a really good one. Like, I heard about a guy that his kid's in taekwondo, and he gets a stripe like every like couple classes.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't know if I mentioned it in the podcast, but I was in Calgary a few weeks. Did I tell you about that? And the guy was like, he was like, oh, so what do you do for fun? I'm like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu. And he was like, no way. My son does, I think it must have been karate or something. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, he's actually like a 3rd degree black belt. And I'm like, no way. That's crazy, man. Like, and he's like, yeah, he's been right? I'm like, oh, how old is he? He's like, he's 6. Yeah. I'm like, he's a 3rd degree black belt and he's 6. Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's insane.
That's insane.
I don't get it. I don't get putting that kind of responsibility and that kind of ego trip on a kid. Like,
yeah.
Just chill out. Give them something else. Like, even like ours, there's usually 3 belts to, like, well, jiu-jitsu is weird. Everyone has their own little, like, belt system for kids.
Mm-hmm.
The standardized one through IBJJF is like 3 belts per kid. Mm-hmm. So it's like white with a stripe, white with another stripe, and then you go to gray. Okay. And it's like gray with a white stripe, gray with a black stripe, mm-hmm. and then you go up the next belt.
Okay.
And I was like, man, that's way too many. And I don't want to give, like, my kids students. I want to make it hard. I want them to have that opportunity to be, like,
spreading it out more.
Yeah. So we only do 2 belts per, like, level. So like, gray and then gray with a black stripe.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And we've had kids just straight up quit because they're like, oh, well, I didn't get a stripe. And it's like, well, mm-hmm. do you wear your gi? And he's like, no. I was like, do you show up? Well, when I want to. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, it's hard. And like, telling a parent these days, like, hey, get your kids doing something hard. They're like, no, they need to be coddled and stuff. There's some parents that are like, no, they should do hard stuff. They should work. Yeah, it's one of those things. And then, like, persistence.
Yeah.
Just keep showing up. You're going to get better. You're going to get better for sure if you keep showing up and you show that, like, consistency
mm-hmm.
and resilience to that awful thing that happens to humans when you're like, oh, well, it's too hard, or coach is being mean because he's not giving me a stripe. It's like, no, just keep showing up.
And with that, the thing of sort of instant gratification outside of martial arts, you find so many examples of that too. Like, you want food right away, you got it. The kind of, the tech bro stories of, like, we worked for 6 months on this thing and then we became millionaires. And it's like, okay, but so everyone's kind of looking for that quick win, I think. Totally. And what's great about jiu-jitsu is it teaches you, it puts you in the mindset of you have to put in the time.
Put in the work.
Yeah, you have to put in time, have to put in the work.
It's one of those things that will make you definitely more mentally resilient in all aspects of life. Because if you can stick it out and, like, pass blue belt,
mm-hmm.
if you can stick it out, you get your blue belt and you remain, and you're
mm-hmm.
like, I got this. It's those people that are like 2-stripe blue belts that you're like, they're going to go They're gonna go a ways. They're and like
Oh, once you mean like once they get over that hump of two
Yeah.
stripe blue belt.
then they're usually accustomed to, well, this is a grind and we're gonna put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
Again, life happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a kid, maybe something goes on.
Sure.
And like, yeah, those variables happen, but
Yeah.
like most people will stick with it at that point.
That's interesting.
For a while. Like
Yeah.
there's injuries, there's all this other stuff
Yeah.
that happens, but
The two stripe blue belt. So I'm almost there.
almost there.
I'm almost there. So another thing that we have here is that we wanted to talk about is, and it plays into that. It's the focus on fundamentals. So in jiu-jitsu, the key to success is mastering fundamentals first. And this applies to so much in life where, people want to run before they can walk. You pick up a guitar and you're like, I want to be able to just like rip on this thing, but you can't. You have to. I sometimes go to the musical instrument analogy, but it's like there's certain things in life that you can't fast forward through.
So we got piano and guitar now.
Yeah, piano,
Okay,
guitar.
We're gonna hit all the instruments by the end of all these podcasts.
Yeah.
When we're tired of one another, or he's a purple belt and we can no longer call it the black and blue.
Yeah.
We will have hit every single instrument for his analogies.
Yeah. Next week, saxophone. Saxophone.
Sorry, cut you off.
No. So, but I guess just that idea of like you have to learn the fundamentals.
Totally, and there's so much information out there, and I'm like on the YouTube channel. Like I'm gonna plug the YouTube channel, but I put out a ton of like Instagram-y kind of techniques, like Imanari rolls. Don't be practicing Imanari rolls until you know how to like bridge out a mount. Like,
yeah,
that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Like, and we have like students that like, oh, I saw this on Instagram, and like they try to hit it, and then you just squish them. Like, well, what happened? It's like, well, you didn't have any base, or you didn't have anything going for you. Like, let's get those fundamentals under you. And like, I'm big on like mount escapes and side mount escapes because those are the two worst positions, right? Yeah. So I'm big on getting those fundamentals under everyone. Yeah. And then you feel like you can kind of go through it. Like then you can go after some of these kind of flashier techniques. But in a life sense, if you do the fundamentals in any job, right, and you get good at them, you start to see that everything else develops out of that. Yeah. Right? Whatever you're in, like creative writing, you're not just going to write a novel without knowing anything. You have to like start to figure out the basics, figure out pretenses, figure out like where you're going to write from or anything like that. Same with jiu-jitsu. But the walk before you run, it's funny because that reminds me of Iron Man. I don't know if you watch Marvel movies, but
I've watched Iron Man for sure.
Yeah. So he's like, sometimes you got to run before you walk, and he flies out of the garage thing that he has, right? And on that note, that's something that after you have like the fundamentals.
Is this one of those times I got to keep you in check here? You're going to start talking about Iron Man?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. But I'm a giant nerd, by the way. But yeah, that once you master the fundamentals, then you can run with some things.
Oh, totally.
And then you fail, and then you realize, oh, okay, that's where you come back to the fundamentals and you build it up, and then you come back and then you build it up. But sometimes you do need to go the other way, but that's after you have like that core movements. And in life, you need that core. You need to build that within you. And it comes back to the first point of resilience. Like, you build those fundamentals, that builds resilience.
Yeah. It also like, you talked about creative writing, music, whatever. Like when you build the fundamentals and you have a structure, it's once you have the fundamentals that then you can start to be creative and improvise. And you start knowing, how you can build on it your own way. But if you just start trying to improvise and like make jazz, it's not going to work because, you don't have the fundamentals to build off of. Yeah.
Totally. And it's just one of those things, and I harp on it quite a bit. And I mean, my mount escapes are pretty damn good. And that's because I've been doing them.
Yeah.
Every like blue belts that are coming up that need to be shown what's up with them.
Yeah.
We go over them.
And you know, sorry, am I cutting you off?
No.
So you mentioned kids being coddled. And I think like a lot of times what happens is parents will say to their kids, like, you're a genius, you're perfect, you're wonderful. So they're just like, oh, well, I should be able to be great at X thing. And they just, when they're not, they're like, well, I'm not great at this. So screw this. I'm not going to do this thing.
Yeah.
But when you ingrain that idea that like, it's going to take you a while to get, what's that? It's one of those sort of like rules about, maybe it's the 10,000 hour thing where it's like, and there's some part of it where it's like, you get to a certain point and you think like you're like competent at it. And then you're like, a lot of people kind of stop at competence and they're like, this is awesome. I'm great. But the journey beyond competence to excellence is like so much further than you could ever really imagine.
Totally. And I think it's like the 100 hours. 100 hours of anything and anywhere gets you like
to
a little bit competent.
Yeah.
And then it's 10,000 hours of like go.
Okay.
And then you become a master of that technique, right?
Right.
Or like you hear like Bruce Lee. I don't fear the man that knows or that's practiced like one kick or 1,000 kicks one time. I fear the man that practiced one kick 1,000 times.
Right.
Because that kick's going to be damn brilliant.
Right.
And that's one of those things that's like,
yeah,
I'm going to resist the urge to do the flashy shit.
Totally.
And then just pound those fundamentals into like my brain and get that down.
And then you see like, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast before, but like,
we're at like episode 4.
We're like
we don't have that many.
Yeah, am I out of things to talk about already? I don't know. I'm not that interesting, but like someone like Roger Gracie, who like he does like if you look at all his matches, like yeah, obviously he's a master, you know, but he's not doing flashy stuff. He's doing fundamentals. Like he's doing arm bars and he's doing chokes and he's doing, you know, it's like it's not flashy jump around shit. It's like he just knows the intricacies of those moves and the like the different circumstances in which to apply them so intricately that
totally. And he understands how an opponent or someone's going to be reacting to every single thing. So, and like it's a like jujitsu cliche, I think. But like once you get to black belt, that's when you really start learning jujitsu. And really, realistically, like once I got my black belt, I was like, I don't think I'm a black belt or anything. Like I had that kind of mental thing, but also I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start breaking down every little thing, and I already broke down a lot. Like that's how my mind works. But I started breaking down just the basics, and like going from like a 5-step basic to like making a 2-step basic, rather than like, okay, now I go here, 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 here. I'm just gonna go from here to here,
right,
in less movements,
right.
And I think there's actually, excuse me, now that I've been a black belt, I think almost 2 or 3 years.
That's when it came in the mail, right?
Yeah. That's when
3 years ago.
That's when I bought it. I was like, sweet. Thank you, Amazon.
Thanks, Alibaba.
Yeah. It's not even a good one. It's not even Amazon. It's Alibaba.
It's just made out of old garbage bags.
It's Wish. Thanks. I had to buy it like 8 times just to get the right size.
This is just a picture of a black belt.
Yeah. Cost me $4. Sweet. But yeah, once like you get it, you're like, oh, okay, well, and like once you compete at that level, you have to have it like down pat because there's no BS in your way through anything.
Well, you see that thing I sent you the other day of that I was on Instagram It was like the guy saying like, take that black belt off.
Oh yeah.
You're not a black belt. Like you clearly didn't earn this. And the guy's like, I'm sorry.
I
Like,
thought I was a black belt.
he was like, I almost am.
Like, how long you been training? He's like, 9 months or something.
Did he say that? I
He
didn't
said
catch that.
something. It was like crazy. I was like, oh man, dude, it's not karate.
Yeah. Also, like you got balls to walk into gym and just be like, yeah, I'm a black belt, and then get found out. Like,
Dude, that's like the street fighters that are 400-0
Right.
walking into a boxing gym, and then like
Yeah.
they're like, I want to challenge the head instructor, and then like you see
Yeah.
the video, and the instructor just like murks him. It's
Yeah.
like, dude,
yeah.
you know when someone is actually legit.
Yeah. So speaking of getting murked, the next thing on our list here is embracing failure. So in jiu-jitsu, failure is an integral part of the learning process. And I think like, you know, all these things, I try to think of it as like, imagine you're a kid and you're learning some of these things from an early age because you're in jiu-jitsu, right? And then you're not getting to where you're like, you're 22, you have your first like really big job or something, and you fail at it, and it's catastrophic for you because you've never had the feeling of failure before. But you're 6 and you start jujitsu. You win some, you lose some. You fail, you win. You know, and I think it kind of like helps you it adapts you to the idea that failure is part of learning.
Totally. You see some of the kids that are now teenagers, like Avon and all them, and they came up through our program. And
Yeah.
like they started out like Avon was really, I think it was climbing.
Yeah.
She was like excellent at it.
Mm.
And then like she came into like jujitsu, and
Yeah.
it was hard, and like she kept failing, and like it wasn't working out for a while, and she just stuck with it.
That's so cool.
She
Yeah.
just like she's just like essentially you bite down on the mouth guard and you go.
Yeah.
You're just gonna stick with it, and yeah, she's come so far.
Oh man.
And now you see her, and like maybe she might lose a match in a competition. She shakes the hand and she's like,
Yeah.
that was awesome, thanks. And
Yeah.
you see her in life, and little failures
Yeah.
don't seem to bug her.
Yeah.
Or you see it with anyone that's been in the game long enough, but you also see opposite side, and that's why people quit, where they've had like the
Right.
oh, I'm like, my parents have told me I'm great at things, or like I wish I had jujitsu as a kid, because I was like I was a pretty high grade, like my grades were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Any sport that I picked up pretty quick. And like I was okay at a lot of things.
Mhm.
I didn't, and then when I did fail, or when I didn't like master something right away, I just quit.
Yeah,
I was
me
just
too.
like,
Me too.
I don't want it. Like,
Yeah.
and it was easy to quit, just because I was like, I put excuses on myself.
Unless it's straight up super fun.
Yeah,
Then it's like, yeah, I'll do this because it's fun.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And there's very few things like jujitsu that will make you go, oh, this is fun to fail. Like, oh, and in my like brain, it was like it clicked. It was just something that went, I love this. I don't mind failing. I don't mind losing in tournaments.
Yeah.
As long as I went in and I gave it my all,
Mm-hmm.
I have no regrets.
Yeah.
And I don't mind losing. I don't mind failing on the mats. I don't mind trying new things.
Yeah.
And like,
Hmm.
I'm not like, I understand the you either win or you learn.
Right.
I still think if I lose, I fail, but that's in my own head, because I'm like, I did fail to win that match.
Right.
What can I do better the next time?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not, in my mind, I don't think of it as you win or you learn. It's true, but in my mind, it's like you win or you lose. But if you lose, learn from that. Right? I don't like the idea of you
just
never
like,
lose.
You just like adding in an extra step.
Yeah. Convolute the issue there.
Yeah.
But
you're removing steps from your jujitsu, but adding them to your philosophy.
totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Sounds good.
I don't like the idea of calling it win or learn. It's like the no-gi belt thing again.
Right.
No, What's the belt holding together?
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, because you're saying, if I can paraphrase, you're saying you have to understand that there was a loss.
Yeah.
You have to accept that there was a loss and bring that into the learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can do that in everyday life,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be way more well adjusted,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially in an instant gratification world.
Did you see that thing? I think it was Roger Federer. He was like doing a graduation, what do you call it? Address or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
You see that?
No.
And he was like, I'm gonna mess up the numbers, but he was like, okay, and then in all the games, he's like the greatest tennis player ever, right? And he's like, of all the matches that I've played, I won whatever it is, like 60% of my matches, which is fantastic. But if you break it down to points, all the points that I've played throughout all my matches, I only won 51% of my points.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what does that mean? It means that like I had to get really good at failing frequently and bouncing right back to like, forget about that point. We're on to the next.
Yeah. And that's something that's like any of the greats, any of them. Look at like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky took a shitload of shots.
Right.
He missed a bunch.
Right.
He also got a bunch.
Right.
Same with Jordan. Jordan took a ton of shots.
Right.
And one of the cool things, like you hear about like the greats like that, and they sit there and they go, "Oh, I failed at that. Guess what? I'm gonna go into the gym."
Yeah.
And like Michael Jordan was renowned for this. Like he would
Yeah.
outwork everyone.
Yeah.
Like he would be like, "Nope, I'm going in." Crosby,
Mm-hmm.
like a nowadays kind of hockey player, or McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they're really good, but how did it get there? They put a ton of work into it. It's crazy how hard they work, and like they're there before everyone's in there, and like you see it on the mats. You'll see people in and like they're stretching, they're all warmed up before class. They're not rolling in right at class time. Yeah. Damn it. Tell you, blue belts. But they're not rolling in right then. If they want to like do great in a competition, they show up and they do it. And it's those people that are like, there's life. I get it. I get like you have a job that you have to like go do and all this other stuff. But if you want to get great, you have to put in the time. Yeah. Even outside of the gym, you have to put in the time everywhere. Yeah.
No, yeah, I really I love that about like the Michael Jordan, what's that the documentary was on Netflix.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's great. And then it has
Space Jam.
Yeah, that's the documentary. Yeah,
it has to
be. Anyways, I forget what the documentary is called. It's their last few seasons or whatever. And it's like it has tons of examples of that where it's like, oh, we lost a game, so it's like 5 a.m. the next day. And he's back in the gym being like, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong? I'm going to do like a 4-hour workout and like just practice this shot over and over and over again. And that's embracing failure, right? That's not being like, well, I lost and that's okay. It's like, I lost. What am I going to do about it?
Totally. And like every time I take a loss in a tournament, I go, okay, how did I lose? How do I not get there? Like, I remember I took like a bunch of losses at purple belt via Kimura.
Oh, really?
I was like, and it was all in like 2 tournaments back to back. And I was like, man, that sucks. Or no, it was blue belt. It was blue belt. And I took it and then I like went in and I was like, okay. And I went to my coach at the time. I was like, I need to know all the Kimura defense that you know. And like, and then I took that knowledge and I just let people start in like almost a fully locked in Kimura.
Nice, yeah.
And like I failed like 98% of like that they would get the Kimura.
Yeah.
But then I started to go, okay, this is what they're doing. And then I just reverse engineered it and went, okay. And then like I think I've been Kimura'd once since then.
That was up by me.
It was probably by But
I think it was like,
let's take what was a failure in my mind. I was like, man, I suck at this. And let's put in the time
Yeah.
And in a real life situation, like in a day-to-day life kind of thing,
Yeah.
if you suck at something, put the time in.
Yeah.
Research it.
Yeah.
Like most of my like YouTube search history right now is on how to grow a YouTube channel and how to do a podcast.
That's not what I've heard, but
yeah. And Lego.
Yeah. But imagine like, being able to really do that to every aspect of your life, like, oh, my nutrition's not good. I'm going to spend 3 months just like really diving into nutrition and like be on the right track and just do that. It's hard. Like those things are hard, but
Totally.
yeah.
Hard isn't a bad thing.
No.
As a lot of like modern day life, hard is like, oh, make your life easier. No. If you want to grow,
Mm-hmm.
you have to grow through doing hard shit.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like you have to have horrible stuff, like not horrible stuff, but you have to be like, okay, that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get better?
Yeah. So the next thing we have here on our list to cover today is, and I really like this one. I think this is something that Jiu Jitsu has done for me, maybe with the exception of tonight rolling, but is staying calm under pressure.
Well, let's just wait. Let's dive in. What happened tonight?
Okay. Are we you want to get into that?
Well, let's just
sure.
briefly touch on it. It's
okay.
good to have. It's good to have an opinion on it.
So, I want to make sure I'm not pointing any fingers or anything.
Totally. No.
I was rolling with someone who was rolling much too hard for my taste. And I was kind of like, dude, like much younger than me, probably as strong or stronger. And I'm not sure what level he is, but, and just like threw an armbar on and just like, it just like immediately I heard my elbow pop and it's like, I was like, dude, okay, we can keep rolling, but take it easy. From there, it did not get easier. And I actually wound up then getting in the position where like, I was kind of like, I had gone past my point of losing my cool and I was putting the boots to it.
Yeah. And
a little bit.
Honestly, and when you asked, you're like, did I go too far or something? Honestly, there's sometimes that you have to feel that so you know that you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I can feel myself going there where I'm like, I'm just straight up in a, not like a rage, but like I want to fuck that guy up right now.
Totally.
And I was like, pulling his chin up like with my fingers and just like getting the choke in there and just like wrenching on it. And it's like, I don't roll with people like that. I don't want to hurt anybody. Yeah, but I went past my staying calm point.
Yeah. And I'm not throwing you under the bus, but
No,
I think it's nice to have a view.
Yeah,
and I think personally, I know what was going on, and I was like, okay, well, they can both handle themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that some people just need to understand where they can go to, and then there's a point where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna call it at that and walk away. Right?
Yeah.
It's one of those ego killers.
Yeah.
I've been there too. No, you don't wreck me. I'm gonna go hard. Now I'm kind of not pissed, but I was like aggravated, and I went hard. I was like, and then afterwards, I was like, damn, I should have just went. You know what? Not worth my time. I'm out. And that was entirely on me because I was the higher belt, and I was like, okay,
yeah, cool. And there was a couple. I'll take full accountability for the fact that there was 2 or 3 points there where I could have been much smarter. One, I already know that guy rolls like an asshole, so at the very outset, I should have been like, no, thank you. But I was like, maybe he has matured over the 2 years since I last rolled with this guy. Clearly not the case. Not trying to talk shit, but and then when it became evident that was the case, I should have just been like, you know what? You already kind of cracked my elbow. I think I'm good. Like
I gotta work tomorrow.
I don't need to get involved in this. But my ego was like, I'm going to show this guy what's up. And then that took over, and I went way past the calm Emmett, which I will say, and I said this at the time, I've been coming here 3 years,
Yep.
2.5 years.
I think it's 3.
I've never lost my temper here.
It's actually more than 3. It's got to be more than 3. Because if I'm coming up 3 years on my black belt, you were here before my black belt.
No, I don't think so.
Sure?
Oh, maybe.
I think so.
No, because you got your black belt during COVID.
No.
No?
2002? Or
No,
2022?
I started in September when I was 45, and I'm 47
now. You're 50.
Now I'm 78, and now I'm 47.
Huh.
So 2 and a bit years or something.
All right.
Right? Yeah, 2. So I don't know. Math is hard.
Anyways, don't listen to this math stuff. It's a black belt in jiu-jitsu trying to be
Yeah. But I don't think you've ever seen me lose my temper.
No.
So, but yeah, I just hit a point where I was like, when I really, no, that would be a lie. I lost it at the time, but then when I started getting into it with him was when I tried to be like, because I've rolled too hard with people, and then afterwards I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I was not being cool there. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Sorry about that. Next time I'll be more respectful. Like I've had that conversation. And I tried to initiate that conversation with him, and he was just like, go fuck yourself. That's when I was like, dude,
Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's a good discussion because it comes down to jiu-jitsu is an ego killer, and sometimes the ego comes back up.
The ego came back up.
Shit happens, right? We
Where
can learn and move on from it, though, right? That's the biggest thing. As long as, and that comes back to this, as long as we can learn from it, and we can go, okay, I see where that's at.
Yeah. I'm actually glad you said that, because I usually pride myself on being pretty egoless at jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm just sort of like, oh, Avon triangle. Awesome. That's great. And I'll be like, way to go. That was amazing.
It's that reverse triangle now.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Like, the only thing that saves me with Avon is the fact that I outweigh her by like 120 pounds. So I'm just like,
yeah.
But I pride myself on not having that. But because something about that guy just rubs me the wrong way, I'm like, I'm going to show him, and I was not very nice. But
it is what it is. But it's a good learning experience.
I'm sure it was a good learning experience for him there too.
Yeah. Part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into it.
But so, yeah, the thing is staying calm under pressure. So it's a high pressure environment where we got to stay calm, focused, and adaptable in order to succeed. And in life, there's no shortage of situations where, something happens, you get your fight or flight kicks in. And jiu-jitsu, I think, helps us to put things in a better perspective.
Totally.
Yeah.
I got one of those weird minds that like actually calms down in like turmoil.
Yeah.
Like in time, like when I first moved here, it was 2013, and the flood happened.
Right.
The flood happened 2 weeks after I moved here. I knew nobody. I was like, I drove into work. Work was almost going to be flooded, washed away.
Yeah.
And then I just drove home. I was like, hey, hun, look at this. And like everything was like flooding.
Yeah.
And then then everything was really flooding. And we were about to get evacuated. All the power was out.
Was your house flooded?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like it was Palliser.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like it started flooding. I just like, okay, we need to do like all this. And like my wife works very well in situations. She's very good at like doing that kind of thing.
Right.
But my mind just activates.
Right.
And it just calms right down in those things. And I was like, okay, we need to get the car out of the base, like out of there, because that's gonna flood. So ripped the car out, got on high ground. And then it was like I started like getting people organized to barricade like the down ramp into the parkade and stuff. And it's just one of those things, like my brain just like goes, oh, yeah. I don't know if you've ever watched Futurama, but there's an episode there where like Fry, the main character,
Yeah.
he drinks 100 cups of coffee in like a day, but like everything just like slows down for him, and he's moving at super speed, but everything slows down. That's like me in a chaos, like anything. I'm just like, this is where my mind thrives.
Oh, nice.
It's a weird thing, but I've taken that to like with jujitsu, like in these kind of things. I think it's not the normal way that most people react.
Right.
Most people have to like build that skill, and you see it a lot. A lot of people like claustrophobic or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, and like I've seen a couple of people go through it. We had a member here that was highly claustrophobic, but he came to jujitsu to work through that.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's awesome.
And he would like hyperventilate if you were in side control, like squishing him. And then he like started getting better, and so that was like kind of a cool thing. So he took like jujitsu and took like a trauma response and helped him through that.
That's awesome.
But everyday life, like I
can't say I was sorry, I'm cutting you off. Like just in that claustrophobia thing, I can't say I was far off from that when I started, like getting crushed,
being squished.
That was it's panic inducing, man.
Totally.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, but I think that's part of the point, right? That panic that you experience day in and day out on the mats takes it to your real life, and you're like, not that bad.
Yeah.
And you're like,
like someone's yelling at you in a meeting or like disagreeing with you on something. You're just like
zoning out. Like I could choke you this way, and then you're exposing your neck. Terrible. Terrible. You have like proper posture. That's bad for like exposure of neck. Like you need to be hunched.
Yeah. Why aren't you hunched over? And how can you turn your neck that way?
Come on, Quasimodo. Let's go.
But I think like even consciously, not like subconsciously and consciously, because you put yourself in these situations where it's like, it's hot, you can't breathe, something might get broken, there's aggression, it's like it changes the focus on things that don't deserve a fight or flight response,
and if you don't train, those situations that don't really deserve that fight or flight will cause that fight or flight. In most cases, right? And if you train, you're just like, you know what, not that bad, and you can deal with it at your pace usually. It's a calming kind of thing that you can have. I think it's a beautiful thing, and that's and like for kids, because kids have so much going on in their lives these days, and there's so much other stuff just bombarding them. Jiu-jitsu is one of those things that can be like, hey, don't worry about it.
Kids, like, they physically or physiologically, they don't have the same capacity that we have to regulate their emotions. Like sometimes, like my daughter, just tonight, I'm like, hey, I said something like, doesn't even matter. At the dinner table, I was like, hey, don't sit so close to your brother or something. She just starts crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't know. They just can't. They don't have the ability to regulate their emotions.
They don't have the information yet.
They're so dumb.
Yeah, totally. but that's part of the thing, right? And like you see it in competition when a kid loses a match and they start crying. I tell all my kids, I'm like, hey, if you lose and you cry, that's cool. That's fine. That's emotions. That's emotion coming out of you. The biggest thing is you don't cry and slap away the other kid's hand, right? You shake their hand, you either give them a hug, you say thank you for the match. You can cry, you can feel sad, you can feel all these big emotions from them because they only have like they don't have those in between emotions. 0 to 100. And that's part of the deal. And for kids, for adults, for everyone. It's like we say kids go 0 to 100. A lot of adults do too. A lot of adults go 0 to 100. And you're just like, whoa, what happened here?
What happened, man?
And you're like, okay. And then like after getting beaten up in jiu-jitsu or any martial art that's like a grappling martial art, like wrestling or something, like you become more well adjusted. You're like, okay, I understand more about where my emotions need to sit, and you can regulate them more, I feel.
Yeah. And it, speaking of cliches, this is one of them, but it's because it's so true. It comes back to breath. You learn to breathe through things, because if you don't learn to breathe through things in jiu-jitsu, you might as well quit. Like that's one of those. That's one of those fundamentals. Like I think of that as more of a fundamental than anything move related.
That's probably core. Like there's fundamental movements, there's fundamental things like bridging, shrimping, blah blah blah.
Right.
That's a core thing.
Right.
Breathing.
Yeah.
Breathe and like relax.
Space. It makes some space.
Yeah. Like there's core concepts.
Yeah.
And breathing is top.
Yeah.
Right? Just like breathe through it.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. And if it is that bad on the mats, guess what? You can tap.
Yeah.
Right. It's not one of those things that you're. And then as long as you learn from it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So another thing that that I thought we should cover here is just about being adaptable. So it's constantly evolving art, always new techniques and new strategies, new learning methods, like we've been touching on with the eco thing. You have to be adaptable and willing to learn in order to stay ahead of the curve, and being open to different ways of teaching, and this is inclusive of that thing that John Danaher talks about being able to learn from people who are lower in rank than you, because everyone has something to teach you. And I think again, it comes back to the idea of like just being adaptable and being flexible and being open to ideas.
Totally. And I think like in jiu-jitsu, as a coach, if you don't, you become stagnant, you become a McDojo.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
Yeah.
You're just like, why are we learning this?
Right.
Like things have changed.
Yeah.
Get on it. And like I think a lot of clubs, like we talk about eco being an entirely different thing from like a traditional learning, but in a lot of ways there is merging between the two.
Sure.
Right? Like when we do positional sparring with limitations.
Yeah.
That's what eco.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Right. And it's just we don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't teach it all the time that way.
Right.
I prefer to. I dabble in a bunch of different things, and I dabble in a bunch of different language ways to talk, and ways to coach different people.
Yeah.
Like Carter learns through levers and advantage points and stuff like that. Like you have to talk to him in that language. I'm much more of a reverse engineer. I take a technique at the very end of the point, and then I reverse engineer it backwards. And I learn through you put your foot on their hip here, so that they stay away, or you can regulate distance that way.
Yeah.
Or for like an arm bar, you go on the side and like you put it over your hip because that's the breaking point.
Yeah.
Whereas Carter would be like, you put it over the fulcrum of your hip because that's where the maximum amount of advantage is, or whatever. Right. And that's the way I've had to go into that language and be like, okay. And I don't dive into it fully because everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
But I think it's a valuable thing.
Yeah.
I'm off on a tangent by it.
No.
For teaching.
No.
But I think it's a valuable thing to be able to teach your students
in the way that they learn.
At least a little bit. Yeah. Like if they're having a problem with something, you can switch from the way that you normally teach and go, okay, this is how he learns. Let's talk to him in his language for that time. Yeah. And I've had to like do this over and over, and it's like it's crazy how many different ways you find people learn. Yeah. I love it. It's the way my brain works.
Yeah, I think like I think the way, like, I almost learn in a way where it's like I have to self-discover, like I have to discover it myself almost like put the pieces together by accident, and then I'm like, oh, I have like these little sort of realizations, and then I'm like, oh, I like that because I figured it out, and then and usually me figuring it out is because someone's told it to me 100 times, and then I'm like, oh, I figured it out.
Well, for you, like I found for you, it's like you find little techniques, and then you're like, oh, and it's usually a more minute part of something bigger that I've taught. Like I've taught technical mount before,
Right.
but I've taught it in a broad sense.
Right.
And then you find a small portion of that, and you're like, whoa, that broke open this giant Easter egg of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you dive in.
That makes sense.
And like I've taught broad spectrum stuff, and then you're like, yeah, why would that even apply to me? But then when you start to use it, and then you're like, oh yeah, look at this little, if I just move this grip one way and I move my elbow into me, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then you start to work at it from there. I've found anyways.
And like, I think there, like, so I used to code, like a long time ago. Nerd. And then, like, I think that method was something that I kind of was like, oh, that's not a good way. Cause I'd find like one piece of code that I really liked, and I would just use it for everything and like kind of adapt it for everything. But then people who are like really good coders would be like, no, you have to do it this way and you have to learn all. But like, if you have something that works for you, like, I'm not saying like, what's that expression about when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I get that side of it too, but like, I think with the Roger Gracie thing, where it's like, if you want to dive into something and learn everything about that thing and how it applies to all kinds of different stuff, go nuts.
I think it's amazing. Also with that nail thing,
you think I'm amazing?
Yeah. Totally. I'd go the opposite way, because being a mechanic, like if you see a nail, everything's a hammer.
If you
present wrench, hammer, hammer is a hammer, screwdriver, flip it over, that's a hammer now.
Also, if you're working on an engine with a hammer, you're probably not like...
Dude, you haven't seen a mechanic's hammer drawer. I got so many hammers.
Oh, really?
Dude, I went, little side note, I went and made a knife out of a railroad spike.
Oh, cool.
For like my birthday last year. And you had
to make your own birthday present last year?
Dude, I loved it so much. I saw
the birthday, Travis.
Yeah. I did it with my wife, and I was just like in heaven. I wanted to make a knife forever. I watched like Forge and Fire, but like I was just like sitting there, and like I got hot, and I moved that metal, and I like impressed the instructor. He was like, whoa. And then like not only did mine, like moved it to flatten this railroad spike, but my wife was like having issues. Like she was like trying to like hammer it out, and it was like little tings. And then I was like, cool. And she like asked for help. I was like, yeah. And I just like smashing it. And the instructor's like, you're going to get tired. I was like, no, I worked on Fords for most of my life. You just have to smash those things with a hammer. Like I'm going to toot my own horn. I was pretty good at like smashing that metal with a hammer, because as a mechanic, like you have a hammer drawer for sure.
Okay. By the way, so my son is 4. You've met him a couple times, but his whole life is trucks and cars. Like that's his whole thing. Monster trucks specifically.
Nice.
He's been to Monster Jam twice, and so we took it. This is a total tangent now. We took him to Monster Jam when he was like whatever that was, 2.5. He was kind of like looking around the whole time, sort of like this, and just me and him. Right? It was like one of the first things that he and I just did as like dad and son, like no other family members. And he was just kind of like taking it in, and I was like, oh, maybe he doesn't like it. I shit you not, dude, when I say every single day since that day, which is now like almost 3 years ago, we don't hear the word Monster Jam less than 50 times in a day.
Favorite monster truck?
So
Gravedigger?
I think mine or his?
His. I don't care about yours. You're like Bigfoot.
I hard to say. I think he really likes Zombie. He also really likes the newest one he got is Soldier of Fortune. He must have 50 monster trucks. But all this to say, I was like, hey, Travis is building a truck. Would you like to see that one day? I can ask Travis if maybe you can see the truck.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah.
Dude, that's why I'm building this truck. Because when I was a kid, like I went to car shows, I went to Monster Jam.
Yeah.
A little side note, my uncle, I think he helped paint like one of the original Gravediggers.
No
for
way.
Dennis Anderson. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Like,
oh my God.
I know Gravedigger and like biggest fan of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's so many car shows out there that people are like, don't touch my truck, don't touch anything, don't get your little grubby fingerprints.
Yeah.
And then this one guy was like, I was like looking at this truck, and it's my favorite truck. It's actually the year that I'm building right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking all around. He's like, you want to sit in it? I was like, oh,
nice.
Yeah, like it was like this golden moment. And my uncle was like, yeah, jump in. And like I jumped in, and I'm sitting there like with the wheel. I was like a little like, I think I was like 6 or 7.
Right on, yeah.
And I was like, this is the coolest moment of my life.
Those are big moments, man.
Dude, that's actually led me down being like a mechanic later on in life, because I love car shows with my grandpa, my uncle, and stuff.
Nice.
And then I bought this truck, and like sole purpose is like if I go anywhere in it, and like a kid is like,
nice,
whoa, that's really cool.
You can be like, shut up,
dude. Yeah, get out, boom, and like Superman punch him or something. I wouldn't actually Superman punch him. Just saying. Well, I don't know. If he knows how to defend.
Depends on the kid. Yeah.
But no, I feel like, hey man, jump in. I want to give that experience to a kid, and I think that's going to be a golden. So if he ever wants to come by and see it, it's in my garage. It's like pretty much torn apart right now.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping in the next 2 years putting it together, and I'm going to make it my everyday. It's a 1955 Chevy.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
Dude, I love it.
Like for Christmas, I bought him like, it's like the simplest thing. It's like a recycling truck, and it has like big bolts, and you can take the whole thing apart and put it back together. And the other day, like we set up a little like mechanic shop. I should show you the picture. He has like an Iron Man mask, and I'm like, well, you got to weld these pieces on there, and you got to put your welding mask on. He's like, okay, I'm welding. And like, I don't know shit about cars or how to weld or how to do anything like that, but I know enough to put together that recycling truck. So,
dude, he can come over anytime. Let's do it in the spring, so that
it's nice.
We can have the and we can have the door open with the sun on it.
Awesome, yeah.
And I'll show him that. I got like the engines painted orange and blue.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's just like everything else is gonna be rusty and like I'm gonna keep the patina, but like the engine looks nice and the frame is immaculate.
Well, rust. You know, we went to Disneyland. It's they have the Cars area, Cars the movie.
Okay, yeah.
And like
Mater,
yeah.
Mater.
Like he's all about that shit. So.
That's almost the year of my truck.
Yeah, nice.
That's almost what it's based off.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. Okay. Way off track. Way off track here. But okay, so I guess just wrapping up the idea of adaptability, it's like that idea of learning from our kids, learning from our, people who work for us or who work with us or who, have something else to offer, and like just understanding that there's always different places to learn from, and that, your way might not be the right way, and you can always get better, and you can always learn from almost everyone around you. And I think the jiu-jitsu is a great teacher for that.
I truly do believe that too. Like we have a blue belt curriculum test that we do, and every time it changes ever so slightly, just because I watch them do it. I'm like, Georgie's actually a good example. She changed it because she was the first girl or woman to come through and actually get it. But like she's like 120 pounds.
Yeah.
And so little things had to be adapted because before that, everyone was like, probably 160 was the lightest.
Right.
But had to be adapted, and she like did this one thing that I was like, I like that. I'm gonna pretend like I came up with it, and then I'm just gonna like steal it 100%. But like adaptability and everyone has something to teach you.
Yeah.
Everyone. And it's amazing if you just listen.
Yeah.
Not listen to talk back or not listen to respond. Actually, truly listen.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more, or tell me why, and all these questions. Like for them talking, you're gonna learn so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna, if you can take that into your own being and be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I was doing it wrong, or maybe I was thinking about something wrong, or maybe I had a skewed opinion, or maybe a misinformed opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to adjust
Totally.
and move forward. And I think that that's something that more people really need, especially nowadays. There's a crazy amount of segregation between two.
Oh man.
It's like you're either on my side or you're against me. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Like the gi no gi debate raging on.
It's still going. The eco versus traditional.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like just learn from be adaptable.
Yeah,
right?
you can learn from both.
Yeah.
Like I was talking with Joey this weekend. I was like, dude, I want you on the podcast. He's like, yeah, 100%. Like Drew Weatherhead, he's like, yeah, they're both in.
Oh, nice.
We just got to like figure out a time, place, and all this other stuff. But still, they have two different backgrounds. Joey's gonna be teaching me more about eco, and he's
Amazing,
like, as long as you're open. I was like, dude, I'm always open to this stuff.
Yeah,
I want to learn everything. Like I want to go through everything. Like I stay up at night and I just read. I go out to lunch and I just read like about this, or I watch videos.
I feel like eco might suit me well.
No, it means that you have to do like good jujitsu.
Oh,
not for you.
No, it's not for me. No. I just like smashing.
Yeah. But no, honestly, I think that you would take to it. It's a good little. It's a immediate information back to you, kind of jujitsu. Carter actually kind of runs his classes.
He does, yeah.
Similar
he does
in that vein of eco.
In that general realm. Only like terribly, right?
Yeah, terrible. He's a horrible practitioner of jiu-jitsu, horrible coach.
Just a mean guy.
Man, I hope that he listens to this and he's just like, why you gotta rag on me? That's how he sounds too. Everyone's gonna be like, I'm not going.
Okay, so another thing we had is the last thing on my list anyways today is about staying humble. So in jiu-jitsu, there's always someone who's going to be better than you. You have to be able to respect your opponent. You have to be able to learn from others. And I mean, it's really obvious why that matters in life. Humility is just like a really key trait, I think, in being able to get through life. And I think being constantly humbled on the mats is a good teacher for staying humble. So
totally. And I think when you look at it that way, like if we're looking at core values, like core things like breathing, and remaining humble, like that's another thing that everyone should learn, and everyone should like take that into their practice. Like,
you know what? Even when it comes to like self-defense, even only in that like small window, man, you do a few jiu-jitsu classes, you do a year, probably no matter how much jiu-jitsu you do, like you start thinking, you know what? It's probably not worth it for me to get into a fight anywhere because there's going to be some people out there who can really mess me up.
Totally. And you don't know. So many people like
you don't know.
There's some distinguishing traits that some people have. Look at Jonah. He has a big ass bubble ear now.
Yeah.
But not everyone gets cauliflower ear.
No.
Some people are like badass, no cauliflower. They're pretty like they don't go out. They don't go out of their way to talk to people like intimidate. They just sit back.
Yeah.
And those calm ones, most people, when I was like back in Lloydminster, I was like, oh man, who's that guy? Whatever.
Yeah.
But now that I've been doing this for so long, that's the guy that you're like, no, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I really try to like put that out there when I'm out with like anyone. I just sit back and I have a weird thing in my brain where I'm like, I need to be able to see the entrance and exit and stuff like that. So I always have like my back to a wall or something.
Yeah.
Um, it's just, yeah, I have to have that or else I can't concentrate.
Yeah.
But I try to remain calm. I try to keep that about me
Yeah.
and environmental like awareness.
Yeah.
And then just stay humble. Also, when you learn that there's people that can just take your hood and like wrap it around your
Oh,
neck
dude. Yeah.
and you're just unconscious,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Once you start to learn that there's those people out there, and not all of them are calm, some of them are aggressive. There's
Yeah.
some crazy
Yeah.
ass people out there that
Totally, man.
shouldn't have learned a
Yeah.
martial art because
Yeah.
it just amplified their
Yeah.
skills. But like it's insane and it's humbling, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna just be more chill. Also, I want to train tomorrow, so
Yeah.
why would I want to fight?
But what's crazy though is that the people who have the no, like that don't have humility are the ones who haven't trained at all. I mean, not in every case, obviously,
For the most part,
but it's
for
like like, dude, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna throw some bombs, I'm gonna kick everyone's ass, and it's like I'm the man, dude. I can lift weights and stuff, and it's like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Those
like,
are the funniest people when they show up on the mats and they're just like, yeah, I can do this and this and this. And it's
right.
like, cool, I'm going to put you with Avon, and Avon's going to murk you. She's a 120-pound girl, and you're going to be humbled.
Yeah.
And like, she'll be laughing. She's actually picked it. I don't know if that's just a natural thing, but she laughs when she does like these stupid shit that doesn't work. Maybe she picked it up from me because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's funny to her because she's like, you're a 200-pound guy. I'm just going to wrap my gi around you, choke you here. I'm just going to throw up this weird-ass triangle, choke you there. I'm going to grab your leg.
Oh, totally.
And, like, that's humbling.
Oh, totally.
Like, there's been some moments where I've been rolling with her, and, like, I don't roll with all my strength because that's not what it's about.
Of course. Yeah.
But I roll with my intelligence.
Yeah.
And then she throws up this weird shit, and you're just like,
yeah.
I was doing something stupid. She caught me. Let's see where this goes.
We should have Avon on the podcast. We mentioned her probably 10 times over the course of our podcast, so I think she deserves the opportunity to speak on her own behalf. So
she'll be like, "You guys suck.
Your podcast sucks. You guys suck.
Yeah, you guys should just quit." No, we'll get a third mic. We'll get some people in here for sure. But yeah, I like there. It's so humbling, and in everyday life, if you've been humbled on the mats over and over and over and over, you go into everyday life and you're like, "This is I'm fine here." Like it's
and like I feel like humility is like the doorway to adaptability. If you're not humble, you can't adapt because you get stuck in your ways. You think you're already great.
Yeah.
I mean, feel free to quote me.
No,
like humility is the doorway to adaptability. So
we're gonna cut that and put it on Instagram. But realistically, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that you get there, and if you're not humble, you're not creating. If you're king shit of the shit pile, why do you have to do anything different?
Yeah.
And you see that we call them traditional martial arts. Like, I don't know how. I don't think Taekwondo is that old, but you see people like get to that point in like karate, Taekwondo, where they're like, I know everything. And then they just kind of sit back.
Yeah.
And then newer people that are like coming up with like have different ability like that. Or you see it in Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Jiu Jitsu is actually a great one. You see those people that are like, no, this is how Gracie taught it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just straight leg lock you because you have zero defense to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to heel hook you because you haven't done those ever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So
you're talking to me specifically, right?
No, I'm talking to Gracie Baugh and their terrible teachings. Not all Gracie Baugh, but there's some great. Actually, I'm going to shout out Gracie Baugh in Calgary. That dude, he's pretty cool.
Nice.
I actually like him.
Okay.
We've had other Gracie Baugh guys out, and they're pretty cool too. But yeah, it's just one of those stigmas that's stuck with them where they're like, it's my way or the highway, and wear my gi.
Yeah, no, I get it. So we did have a quote that I wanted to share today, which I think really, you know what? It's a quote and it's a book recommendation.
Totally.
If you're interested in kind of like super easy to read, short, inspirational, really cool book. There's an audio book on Audible. It's called On Jiu Jitsu. It's by Chris Matakas. And it's right in the beginning of the book. He has this quote that says, "We thought we were learning to fight, but we were learning to live." And I think that perfectly summarizes everything we've been talking about today, which is jiu-jitsu is a microcosm of life, and it's like it just teaches you to handle things a little bit better.
Dude, that book is so good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'm glad that you recommended it to me, and I bought it.
Yeah.
I read it, and then I listened to it too.
Oh, you read the actual physical book?
Yeah. I love physical books. It just feels good in the hands. But I like to read it, and then I like to listen to it. Usually, just because you get a different perspective, or you just hear it differently. But yeah, that quote, honestly, it just sums up what we've been talking about. And yeah, book recommendation, highly recommend going out. It's on Audible. I'm sure it's on everything.
Yeah.
Or just buy the book, have it at the club, lend it out, like get everyone to read it. It's not like here's my jujitsu skills and here's how you should do them. It's a mindset. It's a mindset book, and I think he talks about it right off the bat. He's like, this book isn't a technique. This isn't a kind of thing. It's here's a good way to think about how jujitsu, one, helps you, two, helps you see the world, right? And I think that's just a beautiful little summary of it, and highly recommend it.
And I think like for anyone out there who is, for example, like thinking about getting into jiu-jitsu, it's good. But also, like, I think, if you're choosing a coach, maybe, like, I personally would want to be coached by someone who kind of looks at things in that way.
So not this guy. Sorry.
No. You're just like, you've been here for 3 classes. Here's your blue belt. You've been,
that's how you got yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, here's money. I was like money.
Yeah. It was easy. So easy. But I don't know how you like fact check that or whatever, or like how you litmus test that. But like, I think you want to be around people who kind of look at things in that way, But
yeah, I would definitely say it's like that. I've had a weird coming up through jiu-jitsu where I've had an instructor, but like I've mostly learned on my own. But I love to read, and I love to watch, and I love to analyze videos and stuff like that. But reading, and like I find that book resonated with me because I've read the Book of the Five Rings.
I have not read that.
Many
That's
times.
Musashi or whatever.
Musashi, and like anything Musashi, man, I am in love with.
See, I tried reading like what's the book about Musashi called? Is that the Book of Five Rings? No,
Book of Five Rings is the one that he wrote.
Right. And what's the one that's it's like his sort of like fictionalized life story or whatever?
Oh, there's a couple. I don't know. There's a graphic novel. It's called what is it? Ronin or something like that. But
I'll see if I have it in my Audible here. But it's like I couldn't get through it because there's
Dokkaku, the Zokkkk.
Let's see if I have it here. But I couldn't get through it because there was so many like impossible coincidences. And I was like, no, man, like that's impossible. They'd be like, I went from this town all the way across Japan to this other town, and I ran into the one guy that I wanted to fight, and he was right there. It's like, and then I went to this other town, and I ran into my girlfriend. It's like, no, that's not how shit happens. So
I don't know. His life is crazy, and like what is actually documented to what is fiction, you don't know.
Oh, totally
it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't have it here, but I thought I did. But
I don't know. Anything Musashi though, I love the quotes and everything. I'm a big nerd on that.
I'll try the Book of Five Rings.
Yeah, it's like little short quotes almost.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I got 3 different copies of it from 3 different people that translate it. So some are just like little quotes,
Oh,
some
yeah.
are like full on pages.
Wow.
It's interesting.
While we're on the topic of books, the other one that you and I both have been listening to is the Danaher Diaries
Oh yeah,
on Audible. And that, man, if you got some time in the car to drive, like just like snippets of pure genius, you know?
it's great because it's not actually Danaher talking. It's actually a guy with that's not monotone.
Yeah.
He actually has some character behind his voice.
But he sounds enough like Dan. It's like if Danaher was super entertaining,
Yeah.
he was reading that. He's doing that. But yeah.
If he had character in his voice, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's an entertaining little. What is it? Witticisms? Is that what?
Witticisms? Yeah, it is. But they're super insightful.
Yeah, it's
super
great.
Insightful. I don't know if we want to get into it today. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot. We talked about doing a scrap story today. Do we want to save that for another day, or do you have one that you want to share?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's get into it.
What are we doing? Like jujitsu scraps?
Street scraps.
Yeah. So
let's do street. Let's do street
okay.
scraps. Yeah.
I've actually been stabbed twice in my life.
Shut up.
Yeah. So one, I'll say one, and then we'll save the other one for another day.
Okay. Let's.
I was just on a dance floor actually.
Nice.
At a bar, and I was dancing with a girl, and then out of nowhere, I felt something, and it felt like a punch to the back.
What?
And I was like, "What was that?" And then like I turned around, and I was like ready to throw down. And I only had like kickboxing, like a little bit of kickboxing.
I'm like,
yeah, it was crazy.
What, dude?
And then like I had a little bit of kickboxing, so I turned around really quick, and I was like, "What was that?" And there was this guy, and he started like I think he caught me like 3 times. But
what?
like I was a hockey enforcer, so getting punched in the face, I was like,
Yeah,
that doesn't matter too much.
I didn't even know you were a hockey player. So
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So getting punched, I was like, oh, okay, I can handle that. And I started like, just like it went down to the ground, and I got on top. Eventually, like after a couple shots.
No jujitsu yet.
No
right?
jujitsu yet.
Yeah.
One of his buddies hit me with a chair.
Fuck off.
As I'm like I was elbowing him hard, and like this guy hits me with a chair, and then 2 of my buddies finally come in, and they pull off the buddy, and then I distinctly remember seeing like a bouncer as I'm punching this guy.
Yeah.
And the bouncer was like, he let it go a couple more shots because he's like, he kind of deserves it.
Yeah.
And then they pulled us apart, and like my shirt was ripped and everything. And then I was like, oh, like it's a weird thing, but I felt like I shit myself.
Yeah.
Because there was like my pants were all moist. I was like, oh, it must just be like water from
beer
the floor
or
something.
whatever. Yeah.
And then I looked down. I was like, oh, there's blood everywhere.
Dude.
Yeah, man. He caught me with a box, like one of those straight box cutters.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And
where was this?
in Lloyd.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
and why?
Because I was dancing with his ex.
Too good a dancer.
No, I'm not. But I was just like,
you were dancing with his ex, and he fucking stabbed you.
Yeah. And it was a box cutter.
Oh my god, dude.
So he got hauled off. I think they called the ambulance for him or something because like I pummeled him pretty hard. I was like,
dude.
And it was crazy because I came out of it with like my black eye, and now I got like this permanent thing, and I think it was from that. Like it's like just always red.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then I wanted to stay because all my friends are there, and like the bouncer was like, "No, you got to go to the hospital." I was like,
stabbed.
I was like, I think it's just nothing. And then like I looked, I was like he showed me. I was like, oh. So then like they just put this bandage on and then go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and they stitched it up. And no major damage.
Yeah, no major. Not
but
like yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't deep enough, but yeah.
Oh my god.
Ruined my shirt. It was my lucky shirt too.
Not that lucky.
Yeah, it was like it was one of these ones that I don't know. It was one of those ones with a quote on it. I love that shirt.
What was the quote?
I'm not a slut. I'm just popular.
Your quote game has improved.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say since then your quote game has improved.
Yeah, but yeah, that was one of the craziest things.
Oh,
and that's before jujitsu. I wish I had jujitsu because I would have just choked him out.
Oh yeah,
because I think I broke a few knuckles. I wasn't able to play hockey this time, but yeah, I was like,
dude,
yeah, got
that's
some
wild.
Stitches on my back.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Just that guy's dancing with I'm gonna go stab him.
Yeah, it was crazy because I took that and I took a chair across the back.
And you took a chair. What kind of chair?
It was just one of those bar chairs. So it was like a high stool bar chair.
Oh,
One of his
what?
buddies grabbed it. And, yeah, it was crazy.
Dude, people are out of control.
Dude, it was Lloydminster.
Yeah.
Lloydminster's, it was like, it was a crazy time. And this was like oil field boom
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
everyone had money. Everyone was like like everyone was
Yeah.
like coked out at that bar kind of thing.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And so, did that guy get in trouble? Like, you could go to jail or anything?
No, I don't think so. I didn't charge or I didn't press anything.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I felt like I won. So I was like, whatever.
Right.
I'll take. I think it was only like 10 stitches or something.
No, okay.
The worst part is the needles that they give you, like
Ugh.
the four freezing needles.
Oh my god.
So they give you 2 and then 2,
Yeah.
and it freezes that area, and then they stitch it up. And I was
Oh
like,
man.
that's
Yeah.
the worst part because you don't feel the stitches after those horrible freezing needles.
Oh,
The needles
man.
suck.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Highly recommend not having that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I won't be going there.
Yeah.
Won't be dancing with
Well,
that guy's
everything there is
axe
like
either.
closed down now. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the bar, like last time I was up there, I was teaching a seminar, and yeah, the bar that I got stabbed at was all closed down and stuff.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I wanted to go down memory lane. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else today. I think that's a great first scrap story. That's that we set the bar high.
Yeah. We'll see what other people have.
Yeah. I got a couple. We'll save them for another day. But
Nice.
okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Travis, anything to close us up today?
Yeah. If you're into this, we'd always appreciate a like and a subscribe.
Yeah.
That always helps get this podcast out to more people.
Yeah.
If you want to ever hear of like a topic that you want us to cover, or we have a couple from the tournament, so we'll be covering a couple of the suggestions that we had competitors come up and talk to me about. But if you ever have any, just throw up a comment. I'll respond to all of them, and we'll get some airtime further. We'll shout you out, and we'll go from there. But yeah, and subscribe at minimum.
Open to general feedback too. You know.
Oh yeah, let us know how horrible my voice is and how high Emmett's voice is.
Silky.
Yeah, silky high. And other than that, we'll catch you on the next one. So
thanks for listening, and see you next time.
Catch you on the flip side.